Greetings to you, honorable judges, members of the opposition, fellow colleagues, and precise timekeepers. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Renessa Williams, and I am a teacher trainee candidate of Siripoto College of Education, studying for an associate degree in the early childhood program. I feel honored as first speaker to speak in support of the moot when lighting conditions are just right. However, a window can also be a mirror. Literature transforms human experience and reflects it back to us, and in that reflection, we can see our own lives and experience as a part of a larger human experience. Reading then becomes a means of self affirmation, and readers seek their mirrors in books. A childhood without books is no childhood at all. It's like being shut out from an enchanted place where you cannot go to find the rarest kind of joy. What if windows and mirrors were missing? You may ask yourself how windows, mirrors, and doors benefit children. Books are windows offering views of the world that are either real, imaginary, familiar, or strange. Honorable judge and members of the opposing team, we are here to propose and fully support this moot. Honorable speaker and member of the opposing team, children who feel left out of books are at risk of feeling left out of life. All children deserve to see themselves and the people that look like them being represented in the books they read. Allow me to define a few keywords in the moot. A window is a resource that offers you a view from someone else's experience. A door allows the reader to enter a story and become a part of the writer's world, while a mirror is a story that reflects your own culture and helps you to build your identity. I fully support this mood because books allows us to view and understand lives that are different from our own, like a window onto other experiences. Reading books make children feel valued, connected, inspired, and even broaden their imagination. In support of this mood, children will not only reflect their life through reading from a book, but also they will benefit from reading. Moreover, it is important for young learners to see themselves in a book. When children cannot find them for young learners to see themselves in a book. When children cannot find themselves reflected in books, they read, or when they see images, whether it's distorted, positive, negative, or even laughable, they will learn a powerful lesson on how they are devalued in the society in which they are a part of. According to the Ferguson Municipal Public Library Director, Scott Burner, he said, and I quote, "Besides teaching us who we are, books are where we learn whose lives matter enough to read about." Exclusion from this world constitutes a kind of symbolic desolation. End quote. What about the child who sits in a wheelchair that sees no reflection of themselves in a book? Just like an African or an Indian child who cannot see another with their complexion in a book, it makes them feel excluded from the world. As teachers, books help learners to understand and learn how to conduct themselves in the world and how others, along with themselves, fit into it. It should not matter who is in the classroom. All learners need to be able to see the possibility and diversities of the world from different windows. Thank you for giving me your undivided attention, honorable judges, members of the opposition, and fellow colleagues and precise timekeepers. This has brought me to the end of my speech.
Good morning, everyone. Esteemed judges, prestige timekeepers, members of the opposition, fellow colleagues, and the audience. I, Iman Allen, feel privileged to have been given the opportunity to speak as the second speaker in support of this moot. Learners will not only reflect their lives through reading from a book, but also they will benefit from reading. Reading can benefit a child's education, social and cognitive development, their well-being, mental health, and assisting cognitive development. Teachers will give children a thorough awareness of their world and instill background knowledge in their minds by reading to them. They then utilize this learned background information to interpret what they observe, hear, read, promotes the development of their cognitive abilities. Developing empathy. Children can then apply this knowledge to empathize with people in the real world. Gaining deeper understanding, a child can learn things about people, places, and events via books that they would otherwise know. Finally, reading improves literacy skills. It teaches children that reading requires paying attention from the left to right. That turning pages is a necessary move to move on. Honorable judges, members of the opposing team, prestige timekeepers, and colleagues, I would now move on to tell you the importance for young learners to see themselves in books when reading. Young learners will decide if the author, speaker, character, or contents in the book reflects their life's experience, or provide a window into the life experience of people whose identities differ from them. Young learners often read and reflect on what is being said or displayed in books, which tend to give feedback on their previous experiences to say what they liked or disliked. For instance, we need to have classrooms that allow learners from different cultures to make Guyanese cocoa rice, so they can find their mirror, which will help to inspire and create an impact. Kids need to see people who look like them, who have faced challenges, overcome obstacles, and made difference in the world. It allows for connections to be built. When learners enjoy reading titles with characters who look like them, it helps characters in the story allow for deeper comprehension of the text, because kids are making these kinds of self-connections. No exposure to books will limit children's ability in a number of ways. Some effects of reading which can hinder a child's entire life area: poor reading skills, literature and vocabulary skills, lack of imagination and empathy, also lack of bonding.
Esteemed judges, precise timekeepers, members of the opposition, and fellow colleagues, my name is Kendesi Hussein Ali, and as his final speaker in fully support of this moot. Building identity is a long process that requires regular reflection and shifting of thoughts and ideas. Reading is a gift to recognize yourself in literature. Seeing a protagonist with our name and a background similar to ours gives young learners as readers more confidence. Finding a character you can identify to, relate to in some way, and see them change and evolve is inspiring. The reward of reading a book will make each and every young learner feel valued and are therefore able to move forward into the world sharing their thoughts or their gifts. They develop understandings about the wider world. Instead of just viewing another person's culture or experience, doors allow readers to walk into a story and become part of the world. The goal here is to encourage reflection and action. Reading is like doors, which results in a reader's change of perspective. Reading books has proven to give children a key head start in life. Reading is a construction of thoughts processes, including remembering, problem solving, and decision making from childhood through adolescence, and adulthood. This had brought me to the end of our debate. Thank you.
Good morning, honorable judges, precise timekeepers, members of the opposition, and fellow colleagues of the supporting team. I, Keisha Gordon, feel honored to have given the opportunity to reflect as the rebuttal speaker. It is without any doubt or objection that the opposing team not only do not understand the moot, but were very repetitive in their statement. They also only focus on one aspect of the moot, which is reading being a mirror or a window to experiences. The first speaker mentioned, and I quote, "A picture is worth 1,000 words," end of quote. That is true. However, we are talking about what a mirror, windows, or doors reflect when we read, not just by looking at a picture. Speaker 1 also mentioned about pictures being made to suit a certain images and not the truth. If this didn't happen, then fictional characters wouldn't even exist, much less fairy tales, which is needed sometimes to escape reality and opens one's imagination. As far as we can see, your first speaker only referred to as a picture, whereas that speaker missed the concept from the mood. Because in the mood, it solely referred upon books and how learners can reflect on that. Speaker 1 has failed tremendously to take a firm stance on their position. What does heredity and genes has to do with this debate, Mr. Speaker? Speaker 2 mentioned, and I quote, "When you experience things in life, you gain knowledge rather than naysayer," end of quote. Honorable judges, if young learners are to only learn through their experiences, it means you as a teacher, as their mother, as the care provider, are limiting their abilities of having a wider imagination. However, we will be able to relate to what is in the book, even though we may not have the actual experience of it. Speaker 2 also mentioned, and I quote, "How can a window be a mirror if we haven't experienced life for ourselves?" End of quote. Through reading, you can gain experiences by putting yourselves into the picture. That's why the moot made mention of the mirror, because when reading, young learners are like the narrator of the story, so the mirrors become their reflection. Reading books can change your brain and your body for better. To answer Speaker 2 questions she put forward to you, honorable judges, you can experience what drinking alcohol is through reading. You do not have to engage in it to know about it, because that's one benefit of reading. I am yet to hear the opposing team put forward an argument that supports their position on the moot. Speaker 3 mentioned, and I quote, "We learn how to get along with others or to have self-respect from our experience, not from book." Experience again in question. We cannot learn emotions or feelings such as love and care through books. They come from our real life experiences, end of quote. Honorable judges, teachers will give children a thorough awareness of their world and instill background knowledge in their minds by reading to them. A person in his lifetime cannot experience everything, but by reading a book, one can gain information over the subject in much less time. There are books available on any topic that one needs. Everything can be observed, and sometimes some people feel the book as much as their real life. For instance, developing empathy. When a child reflects his or her life in a book, they will be able to recognize emotion in others and understand people's perspective in a situation. They will be able to show love and care towards another person, and I quote, "They do not need experience to learn this." Based on what I have heard, the opposing team clearly did not read to understand the moot. They strayed far away from the moot, which made their argument baseless and inconsistent. I wish the opposing team had read to understand the moot, so we would not have had to heard about the meaning of experiences from all three speakers, which says a lot as to why they are opposing the moot. Our argument is in support of reading to young learners, and I, Mr. Speaker, still stand firm strong with no intention of second guessing speaking to defend our mood anytime, any day.